Today is about talking about growing events and how do we do that. It is about sharing. It's about crafting and creating a sustainable, streamlined, strategic cape of great events. I'd like you to please welcome your first speaker of the day, Dr. Laureen Platsky, if you can please join us.
So it's very much part of the economic development of the Western Cape and very much part of a longer-term view. Looking at what we call the jewels. What are the jewels, those wonderful big events that we have every year that many people out there take for granted? And then we looked at some of the ones that were further out in the province. This is not just about the city of Cape Town, and in fact it's not just about the country, as I said, it's about Africa. Something we wrote as a result of the experience during the Football World Cup, but also looking forward into the longer term, a 15-year approach.
So first up, Dr. David Marillac, and straight after that will be Professor Camilla Swart.
We developed a study to develop a standardized methodology to conduct an event impact assessment. This is about 365 days that an events industry has to be developing, and we have to use that particular event there as a leverage to kickstart job creation, economic development, and social development. The evidence with regards to job creation, we can say there's 105,000 jobs that we created in a particular sector, but they don't say if it was 1 day, 1 month, 3 months, or for the entire year. When we present figures in terms of international visitors coming and the impact on job creation, I think we must be very careful in terms of evaluating its true impact on the economy. The big challenge, therefore, is how do we translate the great potential we have in our people, culture, climate, natural environment, and transform it into a viable and dynamic industry.
It was developing a standardized set of indicators and methodological approach by which the impact of various events supported by provincial government can be measured. We have been involved in these various other studies on a national level, so while the coordination and the integration is not there yet, there is good alignment already. In future, in terms of developing the framework for the Western Cape, is the alignment between national initiatives and the current study.
We're going to move into our first panel discussion.
Governance is kind of the key and has a finger on everything we do as event organizers. It's something we all have to do, we all have to understand, not only the process, not only the requirement, but also how we work together to achieve great governance at an event. We have a panel of very, very educated and experienced people here from both the city and the province and another event who see both sides of things. They see the side that requires the governance, that requires the permits, that requires legislation.
We had our provincial treasury that actually asked us what is the economic impact of sport and recreation in the Western Cape. And we commissioned the University of the Western Cape and the University of Stellenbosch Bureau for Economic Research, and they came up after 2 years with a study in the Western Cape. For the period 2012 to 2013, the economic impact of sport and recreation was 8.8 billion rand on the economy of the Western Cape, which represented 2% of the GDP, and that it created direct and indirect jobs of 61,000.
Your governance is going to dictate how your event turns out at the end of the day. Governance means one thing. Proper planning prevents poor performance. Once you start with your governance, you then find everything else slots into place. The question I've got for Lester, to bring you in at this point, when you're looking at operating structures in terms of setting up your event and setting up your contractors and suppliers, what do you feel works best for the events that you're involved with?
Have contract. I'm going to emphasize that again. Have contracts, no matter how small. Even if your event is only attracting 5,000 or even 1,000, have some form of contract with your service providers.
Everybody gets frustrated with government and everything that goes with long processes and arduous things, and hopefully when we're finished here, we will have changed our minds slightly about that.
We conducted an online survey. There was a general theme running through the comments that we received, and that is that event organizers were quite frustrated at the fact that it takes long to process applications and that they get approvals so shortly before the event. A major complaint that came up was the lack of provision for online applications. And thirdly, the fact that when events are run across municipalities, the paperwork is increased exponentially. They therefore require or want us to look into the possibility of a single application covering a number of municipalities so that they wouldn't have to engage with individual municipalities.
She's the director of events for the whole of the city of Cape Town. And I mean, as you've heard, there are millions of events that get applied for. So it's not an easy task to have to manage all of that and ensure at the end of the day that everybody is being compliant, everybody has a space, and everybody can do what they want to do. What are the key challenges as the city of Cape Town that you face when it comes to us as events coming to you and saying, I want to put on an event?
It's to get people from the idea stage to the event stage. It's very time consuming and that's why people get frustrated. So in the permitting process, the biggest challenge was that the new legislation came into effect in February 2010. I joined the city in 2012. We were in a change management system. Nobody knew how this legislation will be implemented. We were setting the rules of how we will interact with it, and so was the event organizers learning as they go along, oh, we need this or we need that to comply. One of the key things that came out of the legislation was the requirement for a safety officer, for example. But what is a safety officer? The legislation doesn't tell you. It just says you need one. We made an interpretation of what that means, and then you'd get backlash. Another key challenge was because in the past, the checks were not as detailed as they have to be now because there's national legislation. People arrived with very late notice applications on the week of the event. It's impossible to do the checks.
But it's about keeping the machine efficient. So when we come to governance, it mustn't be that part of the job that you put in the bottom drawer and say, I'll get to it tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Ms. Rodea Snyman, who's the CEO of the Klein Karoo Nasionale Kunstefees, will be chairing the next panel. She'll do a presentation first.
It was in a time of political change in our country, and so there were many, many opportunities in that time to create events that could serve as a platform to bring people together. The KAK&K started out as such an event. When you start with social media, your campaign really becomes very, very, very much cheaper. If you just turn it around from starting with traditional media, but doing it the other way around really gives you far more reach and gives you much, much, much more bang for your buck. So Harry, I want to start with you. Can you tell us a bit about who owns the Dias Festival and how is the event organized?
The Dias Festival is organized by the Mossel Bay municipality. We don't make use of any events organizers. It's a group of people put together by the municipal manager. She's the champion, and all of us, or most people know that she's quite a go-getter, and that I think is part of the success.
Bruce, who owns the Pick n Pay Knysna Oyster Festival, and where does World Sport fit in?
The challenge was that on the one hand you had a Rotarian club owning the cycle rights, and you had a marathon owning the marathon rights, and you had the tourism body owning the festival, which was basically a concept. We managed to pull all of them together to say, let's put a long-term vision together, let's pool our common objectives, let's have a common positioning statement, look and feel, but more importantly, let's have a common commercial model that we can all end up funding our objectives of. World Sport is the commercial partner to all those 4 different structures. The actual events are owned by the local structures, but we are the commercial and marketing partners that come in, and then we work together as one body.
Bernard, can you tell us a little bit about the Cape Pioneer Trek and Dryland event management?
The Cape Pioneer Trek is one of 12 properties owned, managed, run, thought through by Dryland Event Management. And I think it's actually a privilege because it's something that was started about 12 years ago by 2 partners, and I joined them some years after that. Strategically, there are a few points that we focus on, and through doing that we can bring people from all over the world to our region and to our community. Oudtshoorn is only one of 7 or 6 towns that we actually used during that event. like many other events, we tour and we travel, and the idea is to present a world-class event where we can actually showcase the pristine beauty of not only South Africa, but our region, which is the Southern Cape. We go to various towns, and obviously that brings about various challenges as well, but it makes the Cape Pine Trek special in that you travel and tour and you get exposed to various parts of our region.
Growing Events pitching competition with 50,000 Rand going towards the winner.
And I have great pleasure in welcoming Karen Biggs.
We are doing this on behalf of the Bonnie people. Now, Bonnie people is a project, a ECD centre situated near our informal settlement. And this race goes for funding to help the most vulnerable children in Bonnievale in our society. So our hope is to grow our cycle race from our 529 riders that we had this year to the Cape Cycle Tour. If we can get 31,000 riders, we'd greatly appreciate it.
We want to combine sport and tourism, and by doing the Dwarsrivier Orchard Run and Community Festival, the event will be coordinated by Dwarsrivier Tourism, representing 4 communities. We want to combine sport and tourism so that tourists and everyone can see that we are involved with other projects as well.
The Kite Festival is a multifaceted, family-orientated event, owned, hosted, and managed by Cape Mental Health. The Freedom to Fly project is the 6th facet of what we call the Community Chase Jewel. Yes, we haven't got to jewel status yet, but we'll get there. The disabled youth member will get an opportunity to A, fly their own kite in the international arena, and they will fly a large kite as well.
The first thing would be to say that our event has been going on for the last 6 years. We've grown the event in this time from about 280 participants in our first year to about 650 in the event that went down this year in September. That we have a wide variety of events on the day for people of different fitness levels and age groups, so to ensure that we can accommodate the whole family in having fun on this day. The event is organized by our local non-profit organization on the mountain called the Pakket Boerberg Residents Association. Everyone works together, from agri-workers to landowners, to host, organize, and plan this event. And a lot of the farm owners invest a lot of mud, sweat, and gears, as most of the cycling events would know, to try and develop this event to the success that it has become.
The Ebosh Heritage Project seeks to build mutual respect and trust and to unite all the peoples in Stellenbosch and its environs by encouraging cultural events in all neighborhoods, named dorpies for this purpose, while at the same time creating a unifying culture and hence a unified future heritage by stimulating debate, encouraging sporting activities, environmental and local history projects, as well as the arts. I believe that our unique selling proposition, especially in the context of the recent history of our country, is that we have managed, after 5 years of hard work, to get all the communities on board participating with their own events in at least one or more of the Ebosh Heritage projects.
These were finalists. Everybody is a winner, but there could really be one who gets the prize of 50,000 rands. Let's put our hands together for Pakket Boerberg.
I think it definitely exposed me to a couple of global brands and the initiatives that they take to building their brands and marketing their events. Made a hell of a lot of notes today, and it was really a very valuable experience. And also networking with a lot of the individuals at this event was a great opportunity, and we really enjoyed that.
So I'd like you to please put your hands together. Welcome Corné Koch, Dave Belair, and Stephanie Schultzen.
Sponsorships, whether we like it or not, is a commercial activity. And it boils down to who gives what do I have that you want, and vice versa. And it's all, how are we into leading that, into making it work for us. It's not only the event, it's a whole destination profile, it's the marketing, it's the tourists, it's just everybody, and everybody's sitting and waiting with bated breath to find out how is this going to happen this year. David.
2015, The Cape Aflame, and I've taken that off the title of the book that was recently published. Our traditional route is 109 kilometers around the Cape Peninsula, and we currently stand, and I state currently, as the world's largest timed bicycle race. The economic impact to the region is critical to the region itself, and it's estimated at between 450 million and 500 million rand per annum.
The fires that broke out before the cycle tour proved a huge challenge. It wouldn't have been able to resolve the relationship we have with the City of Cape Town and the provincial government of the Western Cape. The ability for us to be able to sit down in a room 3 days after that fire broke out and come up with solutions that would allow us to host an event, albeit on a shortened route, that would take care of the needs of all those people that had flooded into Cape Town. So really it was a collaborative approach. We sat down, we looked for a solution. It was the willingness to find the solution that enabled us to get there. And at the same time, we created the hashtag Show You Care Solidarity Ride. And what that meant was that we were encouraging people to participate. And we wanted people to show solidarity with the firefighters that had been out there for days on end fighting the fire, and for the residents of Cape Town who'd lost property and lives in those dreadful fires. It was said to people that didn't ride, well, you don't really care. So what that meant was everybody came out and supported the event, which was fantastic.
We heard that Cape Town was announced to be the World Design Capital in 2014, and we decided that we want to use this opportunity, the campaign, to actually activate around that. And what we did is, we thought that it would be nice for our sponsors as well to buy into that whole concept, and we asked our agency to design a campaign around that. So we decided that this campaign theme, Live, Design and Transform Life, we wanted to use that in our marketing campaign. And we pitched that to our sponsors as well. It's not only about the World Design Capital, it was also about how the runners are designed to run. We all brought it together by using actually our sponsors to buy into that campaign. Our main sponsor, the title sponsor, Old Mutual to Oceans Marathon, they have a campaign, Run for More Than Yourself. And we also pitched this campaign to Adidas, our technical sponsor. They used the campaign and the artwork on the t-shirts, as well as on the goodie bags. So everybody embraced this campaign and bought into this Designed to Run campaign.
Ms. Libby Fernandi, who's the Marketing Manager, Western Cape Economic Development Partnership. Mr. Billy Domingo, CEO and Festival Director of the Cape Town International Jazz Festival. Mr. Jermaine Craig, Brand and Editorial Group, Executive Independent Media Group. And Martin van Staden, National Events Manager, Red Bull South Africa.
Be sure to make the local stakeholders, the players in your region, and even your sponsors, God forbid, part of your steering committee. Partnering is actually essential, and if you have them on side, you can make the decisions really quickly that you may have to in a crisis. Remember that your host region means different things to different people, which gives you even more ammunition, if you will, in your media mix. Broadband and Wi-Fi is essential. It should go without saying, but it isn't always the case. Event organizers need to assimilate into the culture of the host destination. So let's make sure that you maybe even look and sound just like the people that you are actually working with in your host destination. And the final point that was made was that there is a big opportunity around creating packages in your destination or in your region around particular events. And so working with a broad range of partners to make the attendees at your events have a better value for money experience.
You must have a solid project plan and not a project idea in place. You've got to come pretty prepared and organized with complete budgets before you even start. Evaluate what you critically need to stage the event. In the case of Mr. Domingo here, has he booked the whole of the CTICC with Ms. Julie May Ellingson there? Has he secured all of his gear house providers? Has he got all the ticketing in place? Although he says he sells tickets out over a weekend, we felt that the hard issues are those you must have. The soft issues are those that add the magic. Certain things are given that you can't do without. Once the hard priorities are taken care of, then you can look at the creative elements you can add. But in the current environment where budgets are as tight as they currently are, You have to be creative and innovative in how you bring about additional value to your event.
Brand speaks to people via product. And understanding that the product has to be in silos, and I think it will come down further, so I'll just jump in there. That you don't have 4 banks or 5 motor cars or 6 of those. You got to understand, you just need one of each. But which is the best fix and the fit for both sides? Know your sponsor, do the homework again, understand what their brand stands for, and then know your audience. Know what your audience wants. We had a sponsor for a long time. Sponsor came in and it wasn't working. And in the end, both of us agreed we had to move on to another sponsor because the audience asked for it. How many people, where they come from, where they go, this is what you invested, this is what the returns are. Vitally important, or else it's just like, give me your money and I'll let you know if it was a jewel or not. Sponsorship will make or break the event. I think there are 5 young people, 5 projects here at the moment. I've listened to all their bids. And if I was sitting there as ESP, I would be looking at how can I assist them to get to the level that we've got to. So they not only spoke to you about sponsorship, I think that we should also here, as event organizers, look at them at mentorship and say to these 5 people who are here, we may not be able to give you lots of money in kind, but we will spend some time with you to elevate your event to where it should be. And I think that like word of mouth in advertising is worth billions. So I think I would like to pledge to the 5 that I will definitely spend time with you and tell them how we became successful.
Disaster management and crisis communication is super important, and that can make or break what is seemingly a very small crisis, or it could blow up into something really big because you haven't managed it properly on Twitter or you haven't communicated timeously with the people affected. Understanding who are you communicating to, all 3, the spectators, the participants, as well as the media. Getting a good understanding of them is super important. So that's research and understanding, but also understanding the type of culture that you're communicating to. There's so many different communication platforms out there. There's so many different newspapers or radio stations. Me as the event organizer, who am I going to choose? I think that the decision should be determined to what is my target audience listening to, where are they spending their time on social media, and so you must structure your communications plan. For user-generated content, that's becoming the new buzzword as well. The voice of your target market is representative of your corporate identity.
We're living in an interesting scenario where in marketing we have way more choices but a lot less money. So the less money has to be spread across greater channels. So that we had objectives at the start of the day. I'd like to believe we have achieved them, and we've certainly laid the groundwork to do this again and again and going forward. We are the biggest and the best in the world. Let's not be falsely humble, but let's also not be arrogant. Let's celebrate what we have and what we do. My name is Paul Kay. Thank you very much for a wonderful day.
This year, 2016, the annual Growing Events Conference takes place at the Century City Conference Centre on 17 November. Event organisers are invited to see expert panel members and captains of industry share the best of ideas on the future of events. For more information, visit www.westerncape.gov.za/events.